Yo, Will Reagan from Reagan Reefs and Reptiles. Today I want to show you guys our new green tree python enclosure. We did this kind of on a budget, but we blew the budget out on a couple of items as well. So this was the Thrive upright terrarium that we showed you guys a couple weeks ago. Painted the back sides, insulated it some to try to help it hold better heat and humidity. And you guys saw the end result of that before we added perches and vines. So anyway, ended up mounting a humidity and temperature gauge in the top there. And I hope they're decent. I doubt they're great, but I hope they're decent. They're the Thrive brand from PetSmart. We were getting some of their cheap stuff. So anyway, they weren't expensive, so hopefully they are decently accurate. I have backups to check to make sure that they're somewhat accurate. We always use a laser gun to check all our temperatures. We don't trust these cheap thermometers for that. And I do have a better hygrometer that I can use as well. So anyway, we'll see how those guys are. I don't really know, but we're gonna find out. Also, now we've added the heating element, which is heat tape that wraps. It covers about a third of the back. We always back heat these guys. So anyway, covered about a third of the back, which is typical of what we would do. And then we also wrapped it onto the top to cover a good portion of the top. Because that's one of the issues with this thing being a full screen top. It just lets out a lot of humidity and heat. So now we have really eliminated a lot of that ambient heat and humidity that's going to be escaping. Now it won't escape nearly as badly. And we may end up maybe adding some kind of canopy or something to cover that up to make it look a little better. And then you'll notice there we have our Mist King nozzle coming in. We've got a dual Mist King nozzle that's piped into here. We have those piped into some of the tortoises and other animals as well. So anyway, Mist King system's awesome. I recommend that highly. I started to get a cheaper one, but the more I read reviews and talked to people who had used a lot of different ones, pretty much anybody who bought the cheap stuff, they would use it for a very short period of time, and it ended up being not what they wanted, and they'd upgrade to the Mist King. So I said, well, you know, why not just get the Mist King to start with? They're not that expensive. So anyway, we have this. This was that Terra Sounds effect light by Exoterra. That is just, it's an LED. It's a customizable, programmable LED. And right now it's in night mode. So this light, I did a little review on that maybe a month ago. You can set your night temp, your night light, what spectrum you like, what color you like. Set your daylight, color, all that. It has sound effects that I'm not using, but it has it. It's kind of neat, I guess. Of course, it's fully timed and programmable, where you can just you can have sunset whatever time you want, sunrise whatever time you want. It can ramp up and down. It's pretty cool. So anyway, right now it's in night mode, but it comes with this nifty remote control. So it's not awesome as far as having a Wi-Fi app for your phone. That would be awesome if it had that. It doesn't. But it has a pretty nice remote, and I misspoke. It's made by ZoomEd, obviously, not Exoterra. Sorry about that. But anyway, has this remote here, so I can actually choose daylight right now, just so we can look at it. Daylight. There we go. Okay. So now it's on daylight. When we get done with this little video, I'll just switch it back to auto, and it'll do its own thing. So these were the, whoops, apparently it only holds at that daylight for a moment. Tell you what, let's try a different setting just for now. Let's do this. Okay, so that's one of the preset daylight settings, and you'll hear the sound effects that it comes with. But anyway, so this is the Specialty Enclosure Designs custom perches. You'll see those, they look kind of red. They're made out of PVC. He heats them and twists them and colors them and makes them look like real wood, or a lot like real wood. So they're in there. There's 6 of them. They start kind of front low and ramp back. And then I've got, I think 3 6-foot vines in there that are kind of all intertwined into the perches. The thing we have left to add is the Specialty Enclosure Designs folks forgot our water bowl. So they actually make a water bowl that attaches to the perch. They're sending us one of those. So as soon as I get that, I'll put that in. But we need to run it for a few days anyway to check our temperatures, to check our humidity levels, make sure everything's doing what it's supposed to do. So that's about it. I mean, it's a fairly simple setup. Front opening, looks neat. But like I said, it's got a couple of cool features as far as that light, the Mist King. Oh, and also we opted to go with Herpstat on this guy. So the Herpstat is the Spider Robotics thermostat. And this is the intro. This is the cheapest one. Because I didn't need anything too crazy with this, but I wanted something decent. So I said, okay, normally I spend about maybe $60 on like an Exoterra with the night mode on it. I believe it's Exoterra. Yes, it is. So I'll buy that one for like $60, and it has. It's pretty simple to set that one. All it has is a light sensing probe that's built into the temperature probe. So whenever it senses light, it's set to your day temp. Whenever it doesn't, it's set to your night temp. So with that one, it's really easy to program. All you do is program daytime temperature, program nighttime temperature. That's it. Whenever it senses that your lights are on, it's going to pump out day temps. When they're not on, cat's on my back. When they're not on, it's going to pump out the night temps. Simple, easy to set up, kind of nice. With this one, it's a little bit more complicated, but it's got some cooler features. So with this one, you have to set your clock. You set your daytime temperature. You set your nighttime temperature. You set what time you want day and night to begin and end. And you set the ramping time. So with this one, the only practical difference as far as what it's going to do for you that's different than the other one, it does it in a little bit of a different way. But this is something that the other ones don't have, basically the ramping feature. So with your other ones, pretty much it's just preset on how long it's going to take for your daytime temp to get up to your nighttime, to get down or up to the next temperature. So when your sun rises, say if you're set for a 75 night temp and a 95 day temp. With the other guys, when it flips to day, you don't have any control on how long it takes for that temperature to be achieved. I assume that it just pumps it right up to it as quickly as your heating elements can achieve that goal. That's what I believe, is that as soon as it flips to daytime, it's just going to pump that up as quick as it can and get to the next temperature level. And then at night, when it goes to your night temp and sunset occurs in your terrarium, it's just going to drop as quickly as it can. Don't know that that's an issue, but if you have some sensitive species, this thermostat allows you to program how long it takes to go from one temp to the next. So like this one, I did an hour ramping. So my sunrise on this tank is 8 a.m. My sunset is 8 p.m. and I set an hour ramp time. So sunrise occurs at 8 a.m. It will take 1 hour for it to get up to the day temp. So night temp on this tank is like 75. Day temp is 90 degrees at the hot spot. These guys don't like it that hot. So from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. every morning, it will go from the 75 to the 90, and it'll take that long. You can make it no ramping, where it just immediately kicks up. You can make 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45, and an hour. I don't know what the longest increment you could pick. I went straight to an hour and set it. I don't know what the other choices are, but great thermostat. Seems to be doing a good job of holding the temperature it's supposed to hold. which is not surprising to me because it's not super cheap. I wish you could see it better, but you can't. Shit. If you could see it, you could see it basically only changes 1/10 of a degree. So it'll drop to 74.9, kick right to 75. Never changes any more than that. So that's pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty accurate. It's going to be a lot more stable than what I would imagine a cheaper one would do for you. So anyway, that's it. It's pretty cool. Probably do a video tonight if the temps and humidities are holding well. And obviously if they're not, that I know the temperatures will be doing fine. Mainly the humidity. Right now I have this Miss King set at going off for like 15 seconds once a day. Because I actually have had it before going off 15 seconds every 2 hours, and my environments ended up waterlogged. So that was like way too much. So now I have it set to just go off once a day in the morning for 15 seconds, and then it dries out throughout the day. Probably gonna need to bump it up to 2 times. Because right now this is at 46 degrees. I'm sorry, 46% humidity, 74 degree. And like I told you, I set it at 75, but the hot spot's at the back. So anyway, it's at 46% humidity. That's a little low. This is probably the lowest point, I would say, because it sprays in the morning. So it's been drying all the way since yesterday morning spray time. But that's probably a little bit lower than I would like it to get. Like I probably would like it to peak at 80% and then get down to a minimum of maybe about 55. So it's not way off. It's okay. It's not terrible. But what I'll probably do is have it mist once in the morning and maybe once at lunchtime. And then that should achieve that. So I'll probably change that setting this evening, check it again tomorrow, and then we'll add the snake the next day is probably what's going to happen. So anyway, if I can give you any advice that you take, nothing good happens quickly with animals. It's just the way it is, especially reef tanks. But nothing good happens quickly. Bad things happen quickly. You know, quick changes, quick results typically are bad ones. So just take your time. You know, don't be in a hurry. I'm anxious to put him in here. You know, he's in a tub right now, but he's fully happy. I mean, he's very content, but it's not a good display, and I'd like to see him. So I'm anxious to get him in there. He's going to look friggin' awesome, but I'm not going to rush that. You know, I'm going to play with these parameters, make sure they're right, give them at least 24, 48 hours, and check them, and just double check. You know, check them as much as you can, and be sure that your environment is appropriate before you put the animal in. You know, don't rush it. And don't ever buy an animal before you have the environment ready. This is an upgrade for this guy. He's been in his enclosure, in his first enclosure, for a few months, which we had all set up, ready, tested, and perfect parameters before we ever got him. So don't make impulse purchases on animals ever. Like, don't go to a show or a pet store or anywhere and grab an animal the same day that you get his environment, like his terrarium, his lights, whatever you're getting for him. Don't get him the same day, because it's impossible for you to come home that quickly, get everything set up. You might be able to throw everything together and get him stuck in there, but you haven't tested your temperatures, you haven't tested your humidities, none of that. You're going in blind. So if that's one thing I could tell everybody that I would think would help your success a lot, is just to be patient, get everything you need well before the animal. Have your terrarium set up completely and have it tested. You know, run your cycles, your light cycle, your humidity cycles, your temperature cycles, run everything for, you know, several days at least, and check everything. Check your temp spots with your radar, you know, with your laser thermometer. You know, check everywhere. Make sure your hot spots are staying where they need to be. Make sure your cool side's staying where it needs to be. You know, check your humidity throughout the day. make sure everything's doing what it's supposed to do, and that you know what your setup is running before you ever get the animal to your home and to its new home. And that's really important. Impulse purchases are not good when it comes to living things, because a lot of these animals can live a long, long time. I mean, we have tortoises that will way outlive me, and you can't go into that on an impulse. You just can't. But you shouldn't go into any animal on an impulse, even if it's, even if you buy a veiled chameleon that's probably going to only live 3 to 4 years, maybe 5 or 6 if you take really great care of it. You can't go into that lightly, especially an animal like that that's so sensitive. But basically, that's my food for thought for today. Patience, 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 and preparation and study. Use a lot of different sources, certainly not just me. Clint's great. There's a lot of people out there who are knowledgeable. There's a lot of good books out there. There's a lot of good information. Get as much of it as you can. If you get information that's way off of what everybody else says, it's probably not correct. If you read 20 good sources and 19 of them agree and one is way off the wall, you could probably discard that one. But that's my thing for today. Patience, preparation, no impulse buys. I really think about every animal we get for a long time before we ever get it. If it's one of our pets or display animals, we'll think about it for a long, long time. Research, and prep. A lot of preparation. It might take us a month just to get an enclosure set up. Not something quite as simple as this won't take you a month. But anyway, it probably took me a week to do all this, as far as painting the sides and letting it dry and then siliconing in the ends, because you'll see the perches basically fit into end caps and they slide in and out, because that's really important to me for any kind of arboreal snake, especially a green tree python, emerald, boa, anything like that. Removable perches, very important. And I probably went a little overboard on the vines, to be honest, just because that's going to make it harder to pull those perches out. But that'll be a little trial and error. But removable perches is so important because you don't want to ever try to be pulling these guys off their perch. You can really damage them badly. You can hurt their spine really badly, especially their tail. Very fragile. You don't want to ever pull them off the perch. So if you don't have removable perches, you kind of have to harass them and get them to go off on their own. That's not good either. So you want removable perches, which these are, and all I'd have to do is maybe clip one little spot to get any one of these perches out that I need. And I need to probably redo that where I don't have to clip anything to get them out. But if I clip one little spot on these guys, I'll be able to pull out pretty much any perch. And I mean one zip tie. And that way, if I need to get the snake out, I can take the snake out on the perch. And I don't have to disturb him. I don't have to stress. He's going to get disturbed. He's not going to be happy about that. But he'll be much less disturbed, a lot less stressed by pulling the entire perch out with him on it. Rather than having to harass him and make him get off, or either, just rip him off, which I would never ever do that. So anyway, that's it. I think it turned out, pretty good all in all. I don't know if I demonstrated well that you can do something on a budget, because we did save money in spots, but then in other spots we really blew the budget out, as far as if you consider the Miss King, if you consider the Herpstat, if you consider those custom perches. They are not cheap, but they're nice. I like them quite a bit, but they're expensive, but very good quality, really neat. They look very natural compared to a white PVC pipe, for real. You can tell how he knurls them up and twists them. See how they're twisted there? He really makes them look like wood. Pretty cool. I like them. I think they're really neat. Very good quality, the way he does it. The turnaround time is quick. I mean, I ordered these guys, and he probably shipped them 2 days after I ordered them, and I had them within a week at the most. I had these guys, so that's pretty cool. But they're not cheap. I want to say these 6 perches shipped to me with the end caps and everything were about $150, which isn't, you know, it's not horrible, but it's not cheap. But I think by buying this cheap $99 terrarium, it makes that expense seem so much more. But here's the thing, just because one part of a setup is cheap, or just because an animal is cheap, especially if an animal's cheap, that does not mean that everything else will be cheap. And you can't cut corners. I mean, there's certain spots where you can save money, but there's a lot of places where you cannot cut corners. I mean, you have to do what you have to do. Like with a green tree python, they're not cheap, but you can get, you know, you can get an inexpensive enclosure, but you have to have the right purchase. You really do. Now I could do it cheaper. I could have just done PVC perches that aren't colored and all that, and it probably would have saved me maybe $100. Maybe not even quite that. So I probably could have saved $100 there. I could have saved another 50 by getting a cheaper but still decent thermostat. I actually bought that light pretty cheap on closeout, so that wasn't a lot of money. That's not a big deal. Miss King, I already have that set up, so all I do is add nozzles and tee off for new enclosures. But that's a pretty good deal. I like the Miss King. It's kind of nice because you can really custom tailor how you want your humidity to be. If I didn't have it, I'd have to go around and just spray and do trial and error. You still have to do trial and error with this. You know, you say you set it to spray 2 times, see how that's holding. If it's not enough, bump it up to another time, or either bump it up to spraying longer per time. There's different ways to do it, obviously. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys like this enclosure. I hope you think it turned out pretty cool. Again, we were trying to do it on a budget. I don't know if we succeeded or not. But I know we saved here and there. We did save some money some places. Hope you guys are having a good New Year so far. I know everything's crazy, man, with the election and all. Who knows how that's going to go. But we ain't going to talk about that on this channel. That's not what this place is about. It's important, but you get so saturated with it all the time. We're just going to talk about the animals, man. We're just going to talk about God's amazing creatures. That's what we're going to talk about on this channel. We're not going to worry about the rest of the stuff. Take a break from all that while you're watching these videos. And I hope I don't bore you to death. Thanks. Please like and subscribe. I sure do appreciate it. Have a blessed day.